Genesis chapter 7, verse 1. The Lord then said to Noah, "Go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation." Verse 2. Take with you 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal, a male and its mate, and 1 pair of every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate. Verse 3. And also 7 pairs of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep their various kinds alive throughout the earth. Verse 4. 7 days from now I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature I have made. Verse 5. And Noah did all that the Lord commanded him. Verse 6. Noah was 600 years old when the floodwaters came on the earth. Verse 7. And Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Verse 8. Pairs of clean and unclean animals, of birds, and of all creatures that move along the ground. Verse 9. Male and female came to Noah and entered the ark, as God had commanded Noah. Verse 10. And after the 7 days the flood waters came on the earth. Verse 11. In the 600 years of Noah's life, on the 70th day of the second month, on that day all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heaven were opened. Verse 12. And rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Verse 13. On that day Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, together with his wife and the wives of his 3 sons, entered the ark. Verse 14. They had with them every wild animal according to its kind, all livestock according to their kinds, every creature that moves along the ground according to its kinds, and every bird according to its kind. Everything with wings. Verse 15. Pairs of all creatures that have the breath of life in them came to Noah and entered the ark. Verse 16. The animals going in were male and female of every living thing, as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord shut him in. Verse 17. For 40 days the flood kept coming on the earth, and as the waters increased, they lifted the ark high above the earth. Verse 18. The waters rose and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. Verse 19. They rose greatly on the earth, and all the high mountains under the entire heavens were covered. Verse 20. The waters rose and covered the mountains to a depth of more than 15 cubits. Verse 21. Every living thing that move on the land perish. Birds, livestock, wild animals, all the creatures that swarm over the earth, and all mankind. Verse 22. Everything on dry lands that had the breath of life in its nostrils died. Verse 23. Every living thing on the face of the earth was wiped out. People and animals and the creatures that move along the ground and the birds were wiped from the earth. Only Noah was left, and those with him in the ark. Verse 24. The waters flooded the earth for 150 days. Genesis chapter 8, verse 1. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock that were with him in the ark. And he sent a wind over the earth, and the waters receded. Verse 2. Now the springs of the deep and the floodgates of the heavens had been closed, and the rain has stopped falling from the sky. Verse 3. The water receded steadily from the earth, and the ends of the 150 days the water had gone down. Verse 4. And on the 70th day of the 7th month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Verse 5. The waters continued to recede until the 10th month. And on the first day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains became visible. Verse 6. After 40 days, Noah opened the window he had made in the ark. Verse 7. And sent out a raven, and it kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up from the earth. Verse 8. Then he sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground. Verse 9. But the dove could find nowhere to perch because there was water over all the surface of the earth. So it returns to Noah in the ark. He reached out his hands and took the dove and brought it back to himself in the ark. Verse 10. He waited 7 more days and again sent out the dove from the ark. Verse 11. When the dove returns to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. Verse 12. He waited 7 more days and sent the dove out again, but this time it did not return to him. Verse 13. By the first day of the first month of Noah's 601st year, the water had dried up from the earth. Noah then removed the covering from the ark and saw that the surface of the ground was dry. Verse 14. By the 27th day of the second month, the earth was completely dry. Verse 15. Then God said to Noah. Verse 16. Come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Verse 17. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, the birds, the animals, and all the creatures that move along the ground, so they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase in number on it. Verse 18. So Noah came out together with his sons and his wife and his sons' wives. Verse 19. All the animals and all the creatures that move along the ground and all the birds, everything that moves on land, came out on the ark, one kind after another. Verse 20. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and taking some of all the clean animals and clean birds, he sacrificed burnt offering on it. Verse 21. The Lord smelled the pleasing aroma and said in his heart, Never again will I curse the ground because of humans, even though every inclination of the human heart is evil from childhood. And never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done. Verse 22. As long as the earth endures, seed times and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. Genesis chapter 9, verse 1. And God blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Verse 2. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every bird of the heavens, with all wherewith the ground teemeth, and all the fishes of the sea, and to your hands are they delivered. Verse 3. Every moving thing that liveth shall be food for you, as the green herb have I given you all. Verse 4. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. Verse 5. And surely your blood, the blood of your lives, will I require. At the hands of every beast I will require it, and at the hands of men even at the hands of every man's brother, will I require the life of man. Verse 6. Who sheddeth man's blood? By man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God made he man. Verse 7. And you, be ye fruitful, and multiply. Bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. Verse 8. And God spake unto Noah, and to his sons with him, saying, Verse 9. And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you, and with your seed after you. Verse 10. And with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the cattle, and every beast of the earth with you, of all that go out to the ark, even every beast of the earth. Verse 11. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall thy flesh be cut off any more by the waters of the flood. Neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. Verse 12. And God said, This is the tokens of the covenants which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you, for perpetual generations. Verse 13. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a tokens of a covenant between me and the earth. Verse 14. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. Verse 15. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. Verse 16. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. Verse 17. And God said unto Noah, This is the tokens of the covenants which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. Verse 18. And the sons of Noah that went forth from the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. Verse 19. These three were the sons of Noah, and of this was the whole earth overspread. Verse 20. And Noah began to be a husbandman, and planted a vineyard. Verse 21. And he drank of the wine, and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. Verse 22. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his two brethren without. Verse 23. And Shem and Japheth took a garment, and laid it upon both their shoulders, and went backward, and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. Verse 24. And Noah awoke from his wine, and knew what his youngest son had done unto him. Verse 25. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall be unto his brethren. Verse 26. And he said, Blessed be Jehovah, the God of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant. Verse 27. God enlarged Japheth, and let him dwell in the tent of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant. Verse 28. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. Verse 29. And all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died.